Oompa-doompa-dee-doo, I've got a perfect puzzle for you. Oompa-doompa-doompa-dee-dee, if you are wise, you'll listen to me.
I thought tonight we'd talk about something a little near and dear to my heart, the old 8-bit Nintendo. And actually the first time I ever saw a Nintendo, my cousin came down from Iowa on a Thanksgiving break and brought it with him, and he stayed the night over at my house, and I had never seen the Nintendo before, and I couldn't believe it, because I'd only ever played the Atari, and I'd never seen graphics as good as these outside of the arcade. And so he brought it over and hooked it up, and he had 4 games with him. He had Pro Wrestling, and he had Super Mario Brothers, Commando, and Rygar. And I stayed up all night playing the thing. Everybody else passed out, and I stayed up all night, mainly playing Rygar. I love Rygar. It's an awesome game. I beat it many times, and then he had to go back up to Iowa, and I was sad. I immediately started saving because I knew that I was gonna have to have one of these, and none of my friends had one. The only person that had one was my cousin. And so I remember that whole school year just saving, you know, any little bit of money I had, you know, allowances, birthday money, Christmas money. I even started saving aluminum cans. You know, whatever I could do to get an extra buck to put toward buying this thing. My mom didn't really want to fork out the cash for it. It was kind of expensive back then. It seemed like it was about $125, I think. And you know, they didn't know what it was. They didn't want to spend the money on it, so you know, it kind of was a bummer because I really wanted one. Christmas came and went. I didn't get one. I was, you know, of course that's the only thing I wanted. Then toward the end of that school year, I was riding the bus home. I think it was my 7th grade year, and a buddy of mine on the bus, a friend from school, was exchanging money with a guy, and this guy gave him this big brown paper bag, and I was like, what's that? You know, what are you buying from that guy? And he's like, well, I bought a Nintendo. I was like, Nintendo, alright. You know, and of course we didn't have time to look at it. We were going into school, but on the ride home we're all looking at the Nintendo stuff, and he, of course, you know, he's like, what's this for? You know, the RF thing to hook to the TV. And I was like, oh, that goes to the TV. I know how to hook one of these up. And he's like, oh, you want to come over to my house and help me hook it up? And I'm like, sure, why not? You know, I mean, I go over there and we hook it up, and he had got 4 games with it. I was surprised because he only paid the guy like $80. And he got 4 games with it. He got, of course, Super Mario Brothers, Ghosts and Goblins, Kid Icarus, and Zelda. And we decided to stick Zelda in because why wouldn't you stick the gold card in first, you know? And we died in a matter of seconds. We didn't know there was a sword in the cave. We didn't, you know, we thought we could jump on the guys. We didn't know. You know, we were walking into them, bouncing off like, ooh, like, you know how it is. And, you know, we pulled that out in a matter of a couple minutes. He's like, let's play Ghosts and Goblins. We both played Ghosts and Goblins at the arcade, you know, and you're like, alright, you know, cool. And you stick it in, and Ghosts and Goblins is hard as shit. It should be illegal. It's so damn hard. And we, you know, immediately pulled that out. You know, we saved Super Mario for last because we knew what it was. We stuck Kid Icarus in. You know, it was only 1 player. I think the first level, when you're going up, if you fall back down, you die, and that happened almost immediately. We pulled it out, we stuck the 2-player Mario in, started playing Mario, and from then on, you know, I was over at this guy's house every night. And he eventually went on to become my best friend through high school, and it was kind of all because of the Nintendo in a way, and it was pretty strange. Yeah. my cousin ended up coming back down that summer, and he brought his Nintendo again, and he had like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and the RC Pro-Am, and he had an NES Max, and I thought that was the coolest controller ever. It's still my favorite to this day from the regular Nintendo. And he brought a couple other games, but he brought one of my top 5 games with him, and that game would be Metroid. And Metroid became one of my favorites immediately. I mean, the map was awesomely huge, a lot of exploration time, a lot of weapons. You know, Zelda's adventure story, but Metroid felt more like an action game, and you know, it was awesome. I was never a huge Mario fan. I mean, I did beat all 3 of the Marios, but Mario was never my favorite. Metroid always has been the game that has spurred me on to buy a Super Nintendo and then onward to buy a GameCube. And actually to buy a Game Boy Advance to get Fusion and Zero Mission. And so, I mean, a lot of the Nintendo merchandise I bought strictly because of Metroid. I'd saved up, by that time, my birthday's during the summertime, and I had saved up about $85. And the action set was out with the gun, and you got Super Mario Duck Hunt cart, and my mom finally broke down, and they paid for the rest of it, and we got a system. So I was extremely happy. I also was able to buy my first video game that I bought. Of course, I wanted Metroid. I couldn't find it anywhere. What I ended up getting was Double Dribble, and this Double Dribble is my original Double Dribble in box. I still have the instructions. I mainly got it because it's 2-player at the same time, and you know, basketball isn't really that difficult of a game. Plus, my stepdad would play basketball. He wouldn't play Mario, but you know, it gave me a game to play against some other people. And you know, over birthdays and Christmases, I ended up with probably, you know, 20 or 30 games. Some of them I bought out of my own pocket. You know, mowed lawns and stuff. Ninja Gaiden, that was one of my favorites. I remember buying that game at Kmart, actually, for I think it was $39.99. Ninja Gaiden 2, I remember buying this at Toys R Us. Same thing with Dragon Warrior, I bought that at Toys R Us. Actually, my senior year in high school, 93, I bought this, and it was only $20, and I was, yeah, it still got all the maps and everything in there. Street Fighter 2, same deal, it was like 20 bucks. I remember seeing that at the Nintendo Power Fest when it came through town. Strider, I ordered mail order with my buddy, and he ordered Dragon Warrior, and we ended up beating Strider in like a day, and I was so disappointed, but it's an awesome game. But anyway, I mean, this is my collection. I think there might be a few odds and end pieces that I'm missing here, and there's definitely some doubles in the cartridge arena. But this is it. You know, this collection's been a long time coming. I've slowly built this collection over the last like 4 years or so. I mean, who needs 9 controllers? Nobody, you know, but I pick them up for $1 or $2 here and there and clean them in pretty good shape, really. I bought these box games here and there. The Magic of Shahrazad, that game was awesome. It's kind of a role-playing game. I don't know. I thought I'd give you guys a look. I hope the camera work isn't too dizzy for you. Anyway, I'm mainly doing this for posterity's sake, so... Oh, there, video. Check it out. California Games, TNC Surf Designs. Can't have a collection without those. My friends always had bigger collections than me, but I bet I have a bigger collection than they do now. So, anyway, I thought you might enjoy this story of how I came to own my Nintendo and came to meet my best friend throughout high school and came to meet my #1 favorite Nintendo game, Metroid.